If not, I want to say good afternoon to all of the people that's watching us live on the internet. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, sisters and brothers, this is a lesson that I really wish I didn't have to teach. Because, and the reason I say that, because I wish it was no room for a lesson like this. And this lesson is titled Sodomy. Sodomy. You know, nowadays people think that public opinion can sway the word of God. And if you speak out against sodomy, something is wrong with you. Well, I'm giving this lesson, sisters and brothers, not to condemn, not to judge. This lesson is to warn. In fact, this is what the Lord told guys like me. Let's go into Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 17. Ezekiel 3 and verse 17. Because people think that, well, if the public opinion is in majority, it is right. But I'd like to let everybody know that God is a majority. That's point blank. He's the one put it here. He put us here. And he put everything that sustains us here. And I think that we should know what is on his mind and what he wants us to understand. That's good. We're going to start this at verse 17. Ezekiel 3 and 17. I'm doing what the Lord said his watchman should do. Go ahead and read.
Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me.
He said, I done made you a watchman. Now I want you to hear the word from my mouth and give them warning from me. See, people don't understand who they need to be warned from. It's God, not Satan or nobody else. God is the one you need to be warned from.
Yes, sir.
Because this guy run it all. Go ahead and read.
When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life.
Go ahead.
The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand.
He said, look, son of man, when I tell you to tell the wicked that he is going to die in his sin for what he's committing, and if you refuse to tell him, you're going to die in his sin, but their blood is going to be on your hand. It's just like me. Well, I'm not going to say nothing to it, because they're going to call me homophobic. You understand? Mm-hmm. If I don't, I got to deal with a death that's longer than whatever tribulation they can put up on me.
That is right.
Because the Lord can kill you forever. It's called the lake of fire. He said, now, if I tell you to warn the wicked, and the wickedness of their doing, and you don't, they're going to die in their wickedness, but their blood is going to be on you. Go ahead and read.
Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity. But thou hast delivered thy soul.
Now, he said, but still if you warn him, and they still don't turn from their wickedness, they're going to die in their wickedness. That's a foregone conclusion if they don't change. But you have delivered your soul. So it's guys like me, preachers, sisters and brothers, we're supposed to get up and stem the tide against all kind of sin. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it, sisters and brothers? So now, let's go into Genesis 13 chapter. And the Lord have all this in here for us to understand these things and let us understand that nobody's getting away with nothing. The one that's doing it's not getting away, and the one that refused to tell them this is wrong is not getting away. There is no vacation to be taken when it comes to sin. If you don't point it out according to the word of God, then you become a part of it, or a victim of it. Genesis 13, Genesis chapter 13, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Genesis 13 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold.
Now look, when Abram went out in Egypt, he had something. But then, because of something that went down with his wife, they really gave Abram a lot of gold and silver. So when he come out of Egypt, he was very rich. But he wasn't the only one. Skip down to verse 5. Go ahead.
And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. But their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together.
So now, Lot was rich too. So now you got him and his uncle, Abram, which became Abraham, had so much going on until they had to separate one from another. Because if we get reading and keep reading, we'll see where even they serving are starting to get strife among one another.
Yes.
Over certain territories, over certain wells, and over certain water. So there had to be a separation. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12 and go ahead.
Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom.
So Abram pointed out all the property and told Lot, I tell you what, whatever you pick, I'm going to go the opposite way. Lot saw all the best land, which was especially close to Sodom. He took that. So he moved close to the Sodom and Gomorrah. What verse was it?
That was the end of verse 12.
Go ahead.
But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
But the men of Sodom, they was wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. That is the men of Sodom, sisters and brothers. This is what Lot got close to. Let's skip down to verse 18. Verse 18 and read it.
Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord.
So now Lot was hanging out close to the city with some very wicked men, and Abram moved further on down south and now around Hebron. So in the meantime, God was still looking at Lot and Gomorrah. This is what people don't understand. The Lord is watching all of this.
Yes.
And let's see what happened. Let's go into Genesis now, the 18th chapter. Genesis chapter 18. That's why, sisters and brothers, you know, I tell people all the time, I teach the law. I don't try to enforce the law. I just teach it. Only time, sometime I get a little pushy with brothers or sisters around here if they are trying to do wicked stuff, and I will talk to them, give them an ultimatum, either straighten up or move on, because I don't want you infected nobody else in here.
Yes.
But other than that, you keep it under your head and don't view your opinion and try and pollute nobody else. That's between you and God. I tell people all the time, I walk out in the street and I see you doing something you shouldn't, I ain't going to say nothing. You know why? Because I've told you what wrong is. I don't have no kingdom to put you in. I don't have no lake of fire. I am a teacher of the law. Genesis 18 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day.
Now he appeared unto Abram, which became Abraham. And while he was sitting in his tent in the heat of the day, he saw the Lord and his angels coming. Go ahead and read.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground.
See, Abraham knew who these guys was. Go ahead and read.
And said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree.
Go ahead.
And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye pass on. Ye shall pass on. For therefore are you come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. So do as thou hast said.
That sounds a little arrogant, don't it? But then I guess you God and you angels, and this is flesh and blood man. What is arrogance? You know what I mean? So do what you said, man. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham hastened unto the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal knead it, and make cakes upon the earth. And Abram ran unto the herd and fetched a calf tender and good and gave it unto a young man, and he hastened to dress it.
So Abraham was really moving quick because he knew who was in front of him.
Yeah.
Told his wife, make some good bread. Told his young man, got a young bull, and told the young man, I want you to dress him quickly. Go ahead and read.
And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat.
That lets you know that God and angels can eat too.
Yes, sir.
Whether they have to or not, we don't know, but we know they can, don't we?
Yeah.
Because that's what they did. Now skip down to verse 16. Verse 16, and go ahead.
And the men rose up from this and looked towards Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do?
Now he's going down to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But being that Abraham was his servant, God always do a thing with his servant. He informed them what he is going to do.
Yes.
And he told you, surely he would do nothing but reveal his secrets to his prophet. He said, shall I hide this thing that I'm getting ready to do? I ain't going to do it. Go ahead and read.
18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him.
He said, look, I know this guy.
Yes.
In him, all the nations are going to be blessed, because he knew he was going to come down through him. Jesus was. And he said he's going to guide his house.
Yes.
And he's going to do the right thing according to the eyes of God. So God said, no, I know this guy. I am not going to hide nothing from him. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come up unto me. And if not, I will know.
He said, look, a cry of great sin is coming to me up from Sodom and Gomorrah. He said, now I'm coming down here to make a visit and see if this is a fact. If it is, then I will know.
Right.
That lets you know that the Lord is watching, sisters and brothers. And sometime when you think that there's no hope for you, a sin is so rapid until you can't escape, remember, the Lord is always watching. He didn't watch one generation more than he watched the other. He always kept his eyes open. What verse are we now?
Verse 22.
Go ahead.
And the men turned their faces from this and went towards Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord.
Go ahead.
And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?
See, this is a man of God. He don't know man of God like to see destruction and death, sister and brother. So now, when the two angels went on, Abraham stood back with God. He said, will you destroy the righteous with the wicked? And he started to bargain with God. Go ahead and read.
Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous there are therein?
He said, now if there's 50 in there, so maybe you got 50 that's righteous. Would you destroy the city for that? God answered him. What was the answer? Go ahead.
That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?
Boy, that cat has some nerve, didn't he? Ain't no way I'd have come to God like that. But he was probably thinking about Lot too.
Right.
So he said, shall not the God of a judge of all the earth do right? Of course he's going to do right. But God always let his servants know, hey, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but I'll let you know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance that I might change my mind.
Yeah.
If the situation is right. Go ahead and read.
26. And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes.
Now, this is a great big city. If I could just find 50 right.
Yeah.
I'll spare the city for their sake. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5?
Go ahead.
And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it.
If I get 45, I'll let them go. Go ahead and read.
And he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I would not do it for 40's sake.
Go ahead.
And he said unto him, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak.
He kind of far down the road for that, ain't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
Peradventure there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I would not do it if I find 30 there.
So he's really pleading, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
And he said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake.
That lets you know the Lord will let you bargain with him. If your heart is in the right place, yes, and he know you genuine, he wanted to try and save Sodom and Gomorrah. But that's the way it is. Sometimes man want to save that shouldn't be saved.
Yes.
This is a flaw that we have. Sometimes we call it, well, it's love. Sometimes love can be a flaw because you can love the wrong thing.
Teach.
You can love the people, but you can't deal with sometimes how they behaving, because sometimes their behavior affects other people. Go ahead and read.
Verse 32. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake.
Ain't that something? The Lord really came down. If I could just find 10, that's right. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communion with Abraham. And Abraham returned unto his place.
Now, when he got through talking with Abraham, God went on about his business, and Abraham went on back home. So let's see what happened. Let's go into Genesis, the 19th chapter. Genesis 19, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Genesis 19 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Now, Lot knew who these guys was too, just like Abraham knew they were. But God hung back now. Now, you just got the 2 angels here. Because God, you operates through his spirit system, brother. We have a lesson to show you that. He don't get out there and kill you himself. He got somebody else to take care of that business.
Yes.
Go ahead and read.
And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your ways.
He said, now why don't you come on in my house now, and wash your feet and everything, and then in the morning you can go up. But the angels wanted to stay out there. Go ahead and read.
And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly.
And Abraham pressed upon them. No, man, y'all don't want to live in these streets all night.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we got a whole lot of wicked people out here. He pressed upon them greatly. In fact, so great until he was convinced. Go ahead. They was convinced. Go ahead and read.
And they turned in unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compared to house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
Ain't that something? The men of Sodom, I mean all of them, old and young, from every walk of life. That means that somebody had infected this whole nation here. Go ahead and read.
And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
And in the words, know them mean that we may sleep with them, that we may have sex with them. Bring the men. Now these are men. It said nothing about no women.
No women.
All the men from every quarter. So I want you to bring these men out that we saw coming here, these 2 men, and and we want to lay with them. Everybody couldn't have been born infected.
Teach.
You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes you allow things to continue and allow people to blow it up. After a while, your youngsters coming up and they looking at it.
Teach.
They say, it's all right because my mama ain't got no problem
plain
with it. My daddy ain't kicking against it. People say, well, you was born that way. I mean, a whole city?
A whole city.
Come on, man. That couldn't be the place. You know why? Because there was a lot of them. So that means a male and female had to come together at some time, didn't it? In order to make a whole city.
Right. Right.
All these men come out of some woman. Okay, go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him.
Uh-huh. Now, Lot going to shut the door and go out and plead with these guys, but go ahead and read.
And said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do you to them that is good in your eyes.
Look, he said, look, but don't do this. This is wicked.
Yes.
I got 2 virgin daughters that ain't never had a man. I give you them, but don't do this. Go ahead and read.
Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
Uh-huh.
And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fella came in to sojourn, and he would needs be a judge. Now we would deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed so up on the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door.
Ain't that something? So you stand back. You know, you're a stranger. This guy here going to come into our city.
Yeah.
And now he going to judge us. So that's what they call you when you say you're wrong.
Yeah.
You judge him. He ain't judging him. He's telling you this is wrong what you're trying to do. So we tell you what, you're going to judge us? We're going to do you worse.
What?
And that's what happened right now if you speak out against Sodomy. They want to turn and try and do you in. But they're all good Christians. Think about it. Go ahead and read.
Verse 10. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door.
Uh-huh.
And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door.
Now, them angels blinded them guys, but they were still trying to find the door. That's that wickedness and set in and take it over. Go ahead and read.
And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
So you got any relatives? Go get them. Go ahead and read.
For we will destroy this place,
Uh-huh.
because the crowd of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord,
Uh-huh.
and the Lord has sent us to destroy it.
Now you told him, if you got some relatives, you get them, because of this wickedness have come up to the Lord,
Yep.
and he have sent us to destroy this city. If you got any relatives, go with them. Go ahead and read.
And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city.
Uh-huh.
But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
Ain't that something? That's what happened now. When you say, look, the Lord is going to destroy everybody that break his law. Adulterers, thieves, liars, and sodomites,
Yes.
which is called homosexual. He going to destroy this. They mocking us. You understand? I got this guy running for mayor, running for president. He telling people, well, you know, I ain't the one that you take this up with. Take it to a higher power. In other words, I was made like this, but I keep looking at him. Look like a man to me.
Yeah.
And I bet if you undress him, he got all the tools of a man.
All right.
So it looked like he wasn't a mistake. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. You understand? Yeah. So now, let's see what happened. What verse are we?
We have 15.
Go ahead.
And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city.
He said, now I want you to do that. Because now when you went to your children, your son-in-law, they didn't believe you.
Right?
Everybody mock you. And they do it right now. They mock you. So the angels told Lot, look, take your wife, your children, and one of the daughters you got, and get on out of this city. Go ahead and read.
And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city.
See, look, you can't fool around when you know something wrong and you want to hang out with it.
Yeah.
Lord might not be so merciful for you. But it was mercy because, I'm going to tell you something, because it was Abraham's nephew.
Yes, sir.
The Lord wanted to show favor to Abraham. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed.
Now he said, I want you to get on out of here. Don't look behind. But Lot's wife looked behind, and she was made a pillar of salt. In other words, you looking around, maybe you don't believe what the Lord said.
Yeah.
Or either you're looking around longing to go back there. And these angels told you, no, you get out of there. But that's not in this lesson today. I wanted to keep this as close as I could. So skip down to verse 24. Verse 24. And go ahead.
Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew up on the ground.
Now the Lord killed everything. He killed the cities. It was Sodom and Gomorrah and a whole lot of little sister cities. All of them had been infected, sisters and brothers. And he even destroyed the grass and the ground that was there. That's how upset the Lord got about that, sisters and brothers. He destroyed it all. But don't nobody talk about that nowadays.
No.
None whatsoever. Let's go into the book of Jude, the little book just behind Revelation. Just before Revelation, brother. The book of Jude. If you go to Revelation and go backwards, you'll hit it. Jude, Jude. I watched this one preacher come out against it, Gentile preacher,
right?
And they own him. You understand? I just looked. I said, at least I see one preacher remembered that he was a preacher. And they don't have nothing with him. He gonna call him judging. He ain't judging. He just warning from the Lord. The Lord said, I set before you good and evil, life and death. Yeah. Choose life and live. Yeah. So the choice is yours. But you need to know the choices. And you won't know unless the preacher make it. Jude, the 3rd chapter. Verse 3. Ain't no 3rd on it. Let's start at verse 3. Read it.
Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation.
And when I give all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation. Salvation is common, sisters and brothers.
Yes.
You don't get no specialist. The Lord said, I have me a train on the way to my kingdom. If you want to get to the kingdom, get on the train. It is up to you.
That's it.
Because this is a common trip. Everybody that will can get there. So he's talking about the common salvation. Go ahead and read.
It was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that you should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints.
He said, now I need to write to you because I wanted you to honestly contend for the faith which was delivered to the saints. Contend means you got to defend it, sister and brother. You just can't say, well, it ain't none of my business, Person come up, what you think? Well, whatever they want to do, you got to tell them whatever they want to do, they do. However, the word of God say, and you tell them.
Yes.
You have to contend for it. You just can't walk away from it. Did that finish that 3? Skip down to 5 and go ahead.
I would therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterwards destroyed them that believed not.
He said, now I want you to put something in remembrance. How the Lord, after he had saved Israel out of Egypt, he turned around and destroyed the ones that went wicked and stopped believing.
Yes.
He did it to them. Go ahead and read.
And their angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day.
Now look, every angel was righteous, sisters and brothers, just like Satan, until iniquity was found in him. So the Lord cast them out of heaven, and now they are in chains of darkness right now. In other words, you can't see them. Right. You might have some sitting in here. God don't put no restriction on where they go. He just put a restriction on them being able to be seen or heard. But they can suggest things.
Yeah.
But the Lord have them in chains of darkness. But he said, they left their first estate.
Yes.
They're letting you know, no matter what you are, when you turn wrong, you in trouble. So they've been held in chains of darkness until judgment day. Go ahead and read.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Now pay attention to what he's saying. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves.
Yes.
Not born with, can't help themselves.
Teach.
He said, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh. In other words, men with men and women with women. And then fornicate. Men and women running around even when they are straight, they doing wrong. See, God is going to kill the sinner if you don't stop sinning. And there are many areas of sin. But in order for you to do these things, sisters and brothers, you have to give yourself into doing these things. Because I was born a male. Whole lot of love for every woman. If it was up to me, I done said it before, my wife done heard it, I have every woman on the planet. However, when I saw that I could burn in the lake of fire for that, right, I had to rearrange my way of thinking. It's all that simple.
It's all that simple.
My father asked me, he said, Henry, since you became a preacher, what is the hardest thing that you had to give up? I said, women. Because I come, excuse me for saying it, but because I come from a whole line of whoremongers. He looked at me and didn't like that, changed the subject. But I didn't lie.
Right?
You understand? This is the trait of me and my ancestors. I have a cousin in class right now that didn't come from the same thing, but we got the same great-grandfather. The daddy of her grandfather is the daddy of my grandfather. I got a couple more Bowie families up in it, even in Chicago here, because I come from a long line. So when he asked me that, I told him the truth. Women, you understand? Yeah. But when I come into this word and find out what would happen to me if I didn't change my behavior, I had to work on me. It's not hard. It wasn't hard, sister. It wasn't easy, sister and brother. I had to work on me. That's why I ain't let nobody else get away with it. I can't get away with it. You can't either.
That is right. That is right.
And you better understand me. Don't try me. See, but this thing is, if I continue, that's because I would have given myself to it, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I had to pull back. Now let's go into Judges. The 19th chapter. Judges, the 19th chapter. Judges come out to Deuteronomy, Joshua. After Deuteronomy and Joshua. Go back to the old book. Because the whole thing, sisters and brothers, is all about self-discipline.
Yes, sir. That's it.
You got to see, is what I have, or what I can have now, is it greater than what I'm going to have? But in order for you to make that distinction, somebody have to show it to you. That's my job. And guys like me, to point this thing out so you won't die in your sins and God kill me along with you. Judges 19 and verse 1. 19 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah.
Now there was no king in Israel at this time. So this Levite took him a concubine out of Judah. Go ahead and read.
And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
So now what she did was she went out and laid with somebody else. And instead of going back home, she ran on to her father's house. Because you know the father's always going to protect the daughters no matter what. That's a bad flaw as fathers have. But go ahead and read.
And her husband arose and went after her and speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him.
It's because, hey, he knew what his daughter was doing, but then her husband unforgave her, and he coming back to take her back home.
Yeah.
So quite naturally, every father will be rejoicing for his daughter to go, for his daughter's husband to care for her, enough to come way looking for her. Everyone. Go ahead and read.
And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there.
Now, this guy wanted him to stay longer. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and go ahead.
But the man would not tarry that night. But he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him.
So now, after 3 days, he wouldn't stay no longer. So he saddled up and went on back his way. But go ahead and read. And he come up on Jerusalem, which was called Jebus before. Go ahead and read.
11. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn in unto this city of the Jebusites and lodge in it.
He said, now, let us turn into this city of the Jebusites. And we're going to lodge in it. What verse are we?
We have verse 12.
Go ahead and read.
And his master said unto him, We would not turn aside here into the city of a stranger that is not of the children of Israel.
Now, he think he going to do something good.
Right.
I ain't going to go in this city of these strangers. You know, we Israelites. We going to go to an Israelite city. Big mistake. Sometimes we look around. Well, you know, brother, you know, we Hebrew Israelites, you know, we on the same page. So he turned. So we ain't going into this city. What verse are we?
The end of 12.
Finish it.
We will pass over to Gibeah.
So we're going to go up to Gibeon because that's where Benjamin is. I'm going to go and live among our brothers. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he set him down in the street of the city, for there was no man that took him into his house to lodge him.
Go ahead.
And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field that evening, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah. But the men of the place were Benjamites.
Go ahead.
And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou?
Now, when he looked, he saw him sitting in the city. He said, look, where you going? Go ahead and read.
And whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From this am I.
Now, he told him where it was coming from. But skip down to verse 20. And let's see what happened. Verse 20, go ahead and read.
And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me. Only lodge not in the street.
He said, come on in here, man. Whatever you need, I'm going to give it to you. Yep. But don't lodge in these streets. This guy know what will happen if he stayed in these streets.
Yeah.
Just like like Lot knew to them angels what would happen to them if they stayed in the streets. Go ahead and read.
So he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses. And they washed their feet and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about and beat at the door and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him.
Now, ain't that so? The man come in, he had a wife there, and the old man had a daughter. But they weren't interested in that. They wanted to sleep with the man.
Yeah.
Same thing. So let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
23. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly.
Then let you know this is wicked. Go ahead.
Seeing that this man is come unto mine house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing.
See, I'm going to tell you something. You women didn't have much stock in that day. I'm sorry to say it, but that was the way it is. Now, look here, man. I'm going to let you have my daughter. You know, this is my virgin daughter. And this man's concubine. But don't do this. Apparently, the Lord delivered the daughter. Let me show you what I mean. Keep reading.
But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
Now, they still wouldn't listen, so he just pushed this concubine out there. Being as obvious, they didn't care, they didn't like women, so what they do? They knew and they abused her all night. In other words, they really did a job on this woman.
They did.
And what happened? Go ahead and read.
Then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was light.
And so when they let her go, she came and fell down. You know, they were through with her. They had done him real bad. So I'm going to tell you something. It's just like when I was coming up, we always seen the Sodomite like to hang with the good-looking women. Oh, they say, oh, he's okay. He's my friend. He ain't with you because he like you.
What?
He is around with you because you're going to bring some mail. And I get a lot of women, they ain't never had enough sense to recognize that. If he like you, then he would be petitioning you. You understand? But now, she was there till all night. And what happened? Go ahead and read.
27. And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold.
Ain't that something? She got to the door of the house and couldn't get no further. She fell dead, sisters and brothers. That's how bad they abused this woman. Go ahead and read.
And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up on an ass, and the man rose up and got him into his place.
Now, when he told her to get up, she didn't answer. He knew she was dead, so he took her up. Go ahead and read.
And when he was coming to his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces and sent her into all the coast of Israel.
Now, this priest, he was a Levite. He wanted Israel to know what was among them. And he got their attention. You can't get more graphic than to get your wife that they done abused to death and cut her into 12 pieces. And he had some servants to deliver to every tribe in Israel the bones of this woman and tell them what happened. Go ahead and read.
And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done, nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your mind.
He said, and that's what happened. So ain't nothing like this ever happened in Israel. So I want you to look. So we had to have them tell the whole story. Now I want you to tell me, what should we do about this? And let's see what they did. Let's go into Judges, the 20th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Judges 20 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead, unto the Lord in Mizpah.
Now, okay, the guys got together. Okay, we're going to do something about this. Go ahead and read.
And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword.
Now, I mean, these are a lot of soldiers, ain't it? They're going to go there and they're going to do Benjamin. Let's see what happens. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12 and go ahead.
And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribes of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel.
Now they gave him a chance. They tried to plead with him. So look, these guys that did this, you deliver them to us. Because this should not take place, not this kind of wickedness in Israel.
Right.
But what did Benjamin do? Go ahead and read.
But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of all the cities of Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel.
In other words, you will not have our Sodomites. We're going to deal with you. Yeah. I mean, the whole nation went with it. So I guess that must have made it right. And for a minute there, looked like they might have been right. And God wasn't with them. Skip down to verse 18. Wasn't with Israel. Let me show you what happened now. Verse 18. Go ahead and read.
And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah.
Go ahead.
And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah.
Go ahead.
And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men.
Wait a minute. The wicked won. They went out and killed 21,000 men that were standing for righteousness. You say, well, you know, it's time to question whether we made the right move. But we're going to continue. Skip down to verse 24. Verse 24 and go ahead.
And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword.
And they went up against them again and they killed 18,000. But I'm going to tell you something. Wickedness was really prevailing in that time. But go ahead and read.
Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord.
Go ahead.
And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days.
Go ahead.
Saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease?
Now they gathered again, and they sacrificed animals, and they cried before the Lord and before the ark, and they asked the question, shall I again go out to battle against my brother, the Benjamite? God answered them. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver into thine hand.
Now, Lord, what do you get out of this? Why did the Lord let all these guys get killed? Because the Lord letting you know sometime. It might be costly to confront evil.
Teach.
And when you're doing it, you might suffer some kind of drama. But if you're serving with God, can you leave it alone? You got to deal with it. Just understand? Because once you deal with it, sooner or later, the Lord going to say, go up. I'm going to deliver in your hand. Skip down to verse 34. Verse 34 and go ahead.
And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel. And the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them.
Does the Lord going to drop it on them now? Go ahead and read.
And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. And the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men.
Now they killed. Now the nation killed Benjamites now 25,100.
Right.
Go ahead and read.
All these drew the sword.
So
the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten. For the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites because they trusted unto the lies and weight which they had set beside Gibeah.
Now, they thought that they was bad, but now they are up against it. Now the tables done turned on them, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 43. Verse 43 and go ahead.
Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about and chased them and trode them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sunrise. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men.
They killed
all these were men of valor.
Another 18,000 soldiers they killed. Go ahead and read.
And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men and pursued hard after them unto get them.
And while they was fleeing, they killed 5,000. Go ahead and read. And they were still after them. Go ahead.
And slew 2,000 men of them.
And then they killed another 2,000. Go ahead and read.
So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 20 and 5,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor.
Go ahead.
But 600 men turned and fled into the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city, as the beasts and all that came to the hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
That's an expensive price to pay for protecting Sodomy, ain't it?
Man.
They killed all the men except for 600. What was that, 600?
Yes, sir.
Then they turned on the city of Benjamin, because these were soldiers. Burned down the houses. They killed all the citizens, sisters and brothers. They killed all the cities, the citizens, men and women. The only Benjamite was left was that 6,000 hemmed up in the mountain, in the rock. That is an expensive price, ain't it? A real expensive price. Once we got there, you know, when I made the count of the soldiers that had died, sisters and brothers, my count came up, I'm telling you just the soldiers, 65,000 soldiers.
Man.
Including the Israelites and the other nations and Benjamin. Then they turned around and destroyed everybody. Had to be more than 65,000 people left in the city, men and women,
right,
and children. Kill them all, sisters and brothers. Kill them all. Now let's go into Judges, 21st chapter, because I want to let you know the severity of protecting sin and galvanizing around people that break God's law. Whether it's adultery, whether it's murder, or sodomy. 21:1. Go ahead, Judges 21:1. Go ahead.
Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife.
Now they said, look, ain't none of us going to give our daughter to these wicked guys. You understand?
Right.
You going to go to the wall to protect Sodomites? You ain't going to have my daughter. You too wicked. All of them had sworn. But then they saw what they had done. Go ahead and read.
And the people came to the house of God and abode there till even before God, and lifted up their voices and wept sore.
They didn't like doing that. Sometimes when you eradicate evil, sisters and brothers, it is no pleasure. And so they killed a whole tribe except for 600 men. And they start crying. So what have we done? Go ahead and read.
And he said, O Lord God of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Israel?
Ain't that something? They said, why did this come? Now, instead of 12 tribes of Israel, we're going to only have 11 tribes of Israel. And they was crying, why has this happened? Skip down to verse 5. Verse 5 and go ahead.
And the children of Israel said, who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to the Lord to Mizpah, saying, he shall surely be put to death.
Now look, they had sworn that they wasn't going to let no Benjamite have their daughters. So they couldn't break that.
Right.
So what they said is, now they sent out word to all Israel. You got to come up and we're going to eradicate this evil. If you don't, we're going to deal with you. And let's see what happened. Go ahead and read what verse?
Verse 6.
And
the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, there is one tribe cut off from Israel this day. How shall we do for wives for them that remain? Seeing we have sworn by the Lord that we will not give them of our daughters to wife. So
look, as long as we got 600 males, we can let the tribe rebuild itself. But we can't give them our daughter because we done sworn that they can't have her. And when you swear and make an oath, you got to keep it. Are you in trouble with God yourself? Go ahead and read.
And they said, what one is there of the tribes of Israel that came not up to Mizpah to the Lord? And behold, there came none to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly.
You know, like some people say, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with it. That's your thing. Yeah. Hey, we're living here in peace. Hey, that's their business. And they wouldn't come up. So they said, okay, who are they? These are the people of Jabesh Gilead.
Yes.
They didn't come to the assembly. Go ahead and read.
For the people were numbered, and behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. And the congregation sent there 12,000 men of the valiantest.
Ain't that something? Now they're going to send 12,000 valiant men now. Go ahead and doing what? Go ahead.
Commanded them, saying, go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children.
Wait a minute. You going to go and kill the women and the children of Jabesh Gilead? Why? Skip down to verse 16. Verse 16 and go ahead.
Then the elders of the congregation said, how shall we do for wives for them that remain?
See now, that's right. Let's go back and read a little bit, because I'm going to show you why they went and killed them. What did we leave off at?
That was the end of verse 10.
Verse 10. Keep reading. We're going to read a little bit. We got a minute. Go ahead and read.
Again, 10. And the congregation sent there 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children.
Go ahead.
And this is the thing that you shall do. You shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that had lain by man.
Ain't that something? If she didn't lay with a man, kill her. Every male, kill her. Go ahead and read.
And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had not known no man by lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them.
So they went out and killed a whole city and come out with only 400 women, virgins, because the women that laid with a man, they killed them too. Then they killed all the children. They killed all the babies.
Yes.
All of this come from one act of sodomy. Think about what we're reading here, sisters and brothers. One act of sodomy. And they still didn't have enough. Skip down to verse 19 now. Verse 19, go ahead.
Then they said, behold, there is a feast of the Lord in Shiloh, yearly in the place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem.
Now, see, they couldn't find nobody else. They done killed Jabesh Gilead, killed it and got 400,000, but you had 400, but they had 600 men up there. So you're 200 short.
Right.
So now, let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
20. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and see, and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come ye out of the vineyards, and catch you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin.
Ain't that something? Now look, we're going to have this feast, and we're going to be playing music, and I want y'all to lay in the weeds. And as soon as one of them dancing girls get to you, you run out there and you grab her and run. Ain't nobody going to chase you. I'm going to show you why. Go ahead and read. Go ahead.
And it shall be, when their fathers of their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable unto them for our sakes.
Be favorable unto them for our sake. Go ahead and read.
Because we reserve not to each man his wife in the war.
So we didn't say these guys had wives. We killed their wives. You understand? We did not preserve any. Go ahead and read.
For you did not give unto them at this time that ye should be guilty. And the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives according to their number of them that danced, whom they caught. And they went and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them.
So now they had sworn with an oath that they weren't going to give their daughters. So when they kill this one city and kill all the people and come back with the 400 women, virgins, now they told her, look at here, this ain't enough. So now we can't break our oath. So when this feast go down, we're going to tell these guys, why don't you grab the daughters? Now if the brothers or father says something, we're going to remind them, look now, we didn't kill their wives.
Right.
Man. Let's have some kind of compassion. So they went and they rebuilt the city, and they started all over again with 600 men and 600 women out of a whole nation.
Wow.
All of this happened because you had some sodomites in the land, and then everybody galvanized around them, like I see going on nowadays. and protect you. Sisters and brothers, there is some prices to be paid. And we learned something else too. Being indifferent. Don't deliver you. Like the people in Jabesh Gilead. Oh, it ain't none of my business. They ain't going to get in it. Look, if you don't check sin, eventually it's going to get you.
Yes, sir.
And that's what went down. Because a lot of people ain't got nothing to do with it. Ain't none of my business. You hear some young person over there, whatever they want to do, hey, if it feels good, do it.
What they say.
So you got some young sister, young brother sitting there listening to you while you're making that statement. They're going to leave with that in their mind. If it feels good, do it. If I think it's right for me. Now, what happened is, you have ignored wrong. And when you ignore sin, it will eventually come upon you. It's all that simple. You know, you ain't saying nothing about it, you good, but now you got a daughter in your living room listening to you talking to your friend on the telephone.
Teach.
Hey, you know, that's all right with me. Hey, man, this is a new day. Things like that happen. I don't see nothing wrong with it as long as they don't go out and hurt nobody. And your daughter laying there and you hurting her. Or your son is laying there and you hurting him. Because they see you're indifferent. Now, after a while, your son going to come home with a boy and say, this is my boyfriend. Now you're going to fall all out. Oh, what did happen? This is because you was indifferent and you told him it was okay, indirectly. But what about the Lord? The Lord said exactly what he don't want you to do. Let's go into Leviticus, the 20th chapter. Leviticus chapter 20. Then you let people get wrong and don't nobody tell them that they're wrong. I'm going to tell you one time that that's wrong. What you're doing is wrong. And you're not going to hang out around me and expect me to treat you like you're doing right. It just ain't going to happen.
Make it plain.
Because I know better. And there's no need of me dying for you. Like a whole nation almost died for some sodomite. A whole nation. Because somebody, it ain't none of my business. Everything is your business if you're a servant of God when it comes to doing wrong. 20 and verse 10. Read verse 10. Go ahead and read.
And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
And that's the law, sister and brother. Now, I ain't going to have nobody stoned. But you jump up and you sleep with another man's wife in here, you are history. She is too. Unless you raped her, then I'm going to make sure that you get prosecuted.
Teach.
The Lord said, thou shalt not commit adultery. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13 and read it.
If a man also lie with mankind, as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Now, this is the word of God, ain't it? So if a man lay with another man like he lay with a woman, so both of them going to be put to death because this is an abomination. This is the word of God. He said, their blood shall be upon them. You got to tell them. Bible don't like that. The word of God says you can't do that. But if you sit there, ain't none of my business. Well, Brother Boo, if I open my mouth, they're going to nail me with homophobic. How can they nail you when you're going to say, hey, according to the Bible, that's wrong?
Yes.
Well, we don't want to do it. It ain't wrong to me. You don't have to say nothing else. You know why? Because you have already warned them. Now you're going on about your business.
Go about your business.
Let the hand fall on them because you have delivered yourself. You don't walk around calling them names and talking about, hey, the one that had a problem. When they come close to you, you tell them, you know that's wrong, don't you? I don't care. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Okay, that's it. You ain't got nothing else to say.
Thank you for tuning in to today's lesson. If you are in the Chicagoland area, we welcome you to join our church community every Saturday at 12 noon Central. We are located at 520 West 138th Street in Riverdale, Illinois. Our ministry is made possible by your donations. To make a donation or to view all of our locations across the world, please visit our website at www.theisraelofgod.com.